Hey there, YouTubers. The time is right for a Spooky Ball episode. It's night. For those just joining, I have a ritual of every so often doing what I call a Spooky Ball episode. We all have our gimmicks. I was gratified to find out I could just keep this plugged in and just turn it on and off at will. That was a discovery. I have an assortment of things. It's like a TV show. It's not really Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, nor is it Sesame Street, but especially the latter was influential. But then I also watch other YouTubers. The art of presentation is old, and I would not dare suggest that there are many new tricks in the book. And just because we have the internet, it's still, we had TV before that. We've seen it all, right? And I actually harken back to a very old genre, which was kind of post World War II, Kodak camera. My grandparents would go to Europe and come back with these slideshows. Sometimes my grandfather would narrate the slideshow, and over time to cassette tape even, so that we could appreciate the European vista, us stay-at-homes, right? I was just a tiny kid, and I was pretty enraptured by all this. And my dad had plans for our family to travel. Now, what is this? I'm showing you something that I eat, right? It's like very common on the internet to have food pictures, but this is a Food Not Bombs feast. We're in a public park in Portland, and every Friday we've been gathering. Not I don't go there every time, but this is very good food. And I've come on this bicycle. It's a very good bicycle. I had it repaired recently. What this thing does on the side exactly, this thing next to the tire, it's a little bit mystifying why that's so carefully calibrated and what's really going on there. I'm not actually completely sure. We discussed that. People at Food Not Bombs tend to be pretty intellectual, and they talk about mechanical stuff a lot, and also biospherics, under which comes climate stuff, right? Like the fate of the earth. These people think long and hard about eco stuff. What I call general systems theory, what most people would consider economics, eco, it's the same eco in economics and ecology, right? That these are different disciplines is kind of an accident. That we talk about the economy versus environmentalists or some nonsense. I would say English has many weaknesses as a language. And sometimes when I despair of my ever being able to make a difference, I think that there are other languages besides English out there, because English seems to be dumb in kind of a lot of ways. But it's what I know, and if I think it's dumb, then from the open source eat your own dog food point of view, I'm the one to submit patches, right? It's my problem. I should fix it as an English speaker. So in a lot of ways, that's what Bucky Fuller was doing. He was disciplining himself to speak the language so people would understand him, but they would understand that he spoke it in an alien way. And I would say we let philosophers do that. Heidegger did that all the time, and he was in a way shaping German. Because as Nietzsche said, people were not going to be able to believe in God. They weren't just going to be able to. It was beyond their capability as humans, but they still needed a way to be thoughtful and think about being and basically be as religious as ever, because everything's still just as mysterious or awesome or whatever you want to say, whatever word. So this is a typical. Now, I wouldn't say, okay, so this is not staged. I did not plan this, but this guy in the background with the cello, I'm trying to get him to show up. That was not planned. I mean, by me as the photographer. I felt like I was like from National Geographic here, and everything was staged for my benefit. I said, this is like being in a movie of what it was like back in 2019 in Portland on a late summer Friday night evening. Actually, of course, evening. The sun is just low in the sky, so really good shadows. This is a separate group. These people just come to practice music. And that's a rough idea of what the gathering looks like. You see my bike in the foreground again. That's a fake rock, a plastic rock. And at the end, as I was getting ready to go, Satya shows up, and he and I go way back. So I took pictures of him. He said he wouldn't pose, I'd have to catch him, but he didn't forbid me. And we talked about biospherics because he thinks that why people are impatient with the media is they know things are bad and they know people don't want to tell them how bad it is because people are afraid people will panic. People don't want to tell the truth because they think the truth is too dire for people to listen to. And the climate thing, the biospherics thing, is what really does scare people because they think there may not be a way back. If we have a nuclear war, that's because we were just dumb and stupid, right? But what if, even if we're from here forward smart and play our cards intelligently, we may already be messed up in ways that we just can't really compensate for. And so, there's a lot of concern about science, really. I mean, how do you have a secular sort of religion, right, where people really care about the earth and they want to be ethical and have integrity and do the right thing? And I'm not saying I'm not talking about belief systems of people here at this gathering. I'm just saying in a general sense, when you do economics, remember in some cultures like Myanmar, Burma, or Thailand, you have a lot of young people who can choose to go into, quote, the monastery or whatever. They can do a religious option, and it can be like 2-3 years, but they never plan on a career. They may stay, but they don't have to. It's kind of like a lot of people go into the army, but it's religious. But that consensus is broken down in that we have a lot of people who can't identify with like a particular religion, but yet they still have youth and youngness and the need to do good work, and there's nothing less about them, right? So what's going to be their opportunity? And they don't want to go into the military because they want to do, save the trees. And is that really a bad thing? Can we really not afford ethical people on the planet and stuff like that? I think we can. So the question is, how do we make up for the vacuum left by people evacuating what we'd call organized religion? This is something I'm positing has already happened. It happened quite a while back, well before I was born. Back when Nietzsche was doing his writing, that's kind of when everyone kind of looked up and said, hey, wait, it's like we're all draining out of our old religious talk. The secularization of Western civilization was a huge thing, and I don't think people today, because they grow up in it, post-Enlightenment, and I mean French Enlightenment, we're so far in the future now, 21st century, that a lot of people just don't have any real appreciation or memory for how things have changed. That's why I like philosophy in a lot of ways if it has a deep history dimension to it, which a lot of them do. All right, I'll stop there, but I just wanted to give some more overview in the context of something happening very locally in my own sort of zip code. It's the usual place-based education approach. See you guys around. Talk to you soon.